I bet you're all expecting me to be really angry right now. And I guess I am, to an extent, but ironically enough, anger is not my primary emotion right now. It's sadness. The day I'm scripting and recording, possibly even editing this, is the 7th of December, but in America right now, it's the 6th, the anniversary of Death Battle. As a show, Death Battle is special to me. One side of a coin shared by RWBY. Two shows that influenced me a lot, influenced my channel, my content, my style. Shows that for a long time inspired me to improve myself. Shows that introduced me to so many wonderful people. On this day, I uploaded Destroyer vs. Iris, a special not death battle of my most wanted death battle idea that I knew Death Battle wouldn't do, so I did it myself. I put months into this, wanting to make it as best as I possibly could, and at the same time, the Goku vs. Superman reanimated collaboration came out, a massive collaboration to reanimate the most iconic episode of the entire series that I was a part of. So many great people that I got to know and interact with, figuring out the scenes that I wanted, trying out a style that was meant to be unique amongst the collaboration, making backup scenes in case anybody happened to be unable to complete theirs on time, even voicing that cursed not facts voice that says one thing when the red button is pressed at the start. I was so happy to see that come out after so many months of working on it. Both of those videos came out today, and both meant a lot to me. Seeing the responses from people was great. Not just getting praise, but knowing so many people enjoyed what I had worked on, that I could make so many people happy. But the entire day was ruined, you could say. I couldn't escape this episode. Repeatedly, never-endingly, so many people just wanted to know my opinions on Hulk vs. Broly, and I don't blame them. I've been very open about my objection to this season's overuse of Marvel and DC. We've hit the 50% mark. 50% of the entire season has been made up of Marvel and DC episodes, something to me that screams of creative bankruptcy, a loss of artistic integrity, and a disregard for the wants of their main audience. Complete tone deafness from Rooster Teeth. When half of your season is inaccessible to anybody who doesn't like or care about two franchises, only two, or even to people who just have interest elsewhere aside from these two comics. These comics already get so much exposure in the mainstream. They only have half a season they can really get into, and that's a problem. I explained enough last time when I ranted on Batgirl vs. Spider-Gwen, but that's not the point here. I couldn't just enjoy my day and be happy watching so many people enjoying content that I helped to produce. Things that months of work went into because nobody would shut the fuck up about Hulk vs. Broly. People wanted to know how I felt, not who I thought won, which is fine. If anybody wanted to ask me about that, I had no problem on answering that, and I'll talk about who I think wins in a moment. I even approached someone for help on figuring out who wins, or more so helping me get scans to back up my claims, or I guess if they couldn't prove me wrong and make me change my mind. No, but people wanted to know if I was angry. They wanted to see my reaction. Oh boy, Nemesis will have such a funny reaction to another Marvel episode. Ooh, he's gonna be so angry, and no, I wasn't angry. I was broken. Death Battle has broken me. The highest percentage and total number of Marvel DC episodes in a season by a very wide margin. I'm tired, I'm bored, and I'm sad. Hulk vs. Broly will be a good episode. I'm going to say it now. There's no way that Hulk vs. Broly will be a bad episode. But I will not feel anything to it. It won't be special to me. And that's something really important when it comes to liking an episode, is how special it is to you as a viewer. Godzilla vs. Gamera is my favorite death battle, and it is very special to me. I love Godzilla, I love the Gamera films, I love both of them. Godzilla especially was a massive part of my childhood, and it's a match that I always wanted to see ever since I first heard of Versus debating, and I was so happy to see it. Optimus Prime vs. Gundam, not a matchup that particularly matters to me, but it is my second favorite episode of Death Battle, even though there are lots of problems with it, and things that I think make it nowhere near as good as a lot of people say, but it's special to me. Optimus Prime is my favorite character in all of fiction. He's such an important character to me as a person, and that's something that, no matter the quality of an episode, that will always take precedent. I would love to feel something special for Hulk versus Broly, because I love these characters. But I don't. I don't look forward to this episode, even though I know it'll be good, and that's a real shame. Death Battle killed my interest in this match, but so did everyone else. So many people wanted to know how I felt, and that killed the match to me. Hulk vs. Broly is the match that, to me, I will never forget as the one that everyone wanted to see me get angry over. Everyone wanted to see me rage and react in a funny way, when all I wanted to do was enjoy the anniversary that'll never come again. There'll never be another 10th anniversary of Death Battle. There'll be a 20th eventually. There'll be a 15th. With any luck, at least, we'll get to those points. But those will be the 15th and the 20th. This is the 10th anniversary, a decade of Death Battle, and I didn't get to enjoy the day at all, because everyone just wanted me to be angry and negative towards this episode of Death Battle that was announced. And like, when I first saw the reveal, I didn't feel angry. I was like, oh god, another Marvel. But I was also like, I mean, you know, this looks pretty good, and I really like Broly. Like, I don't hate the matchup. Like, fundamentally, I like Hulk versus Broly as an idea, at least Super Broly, because I really like Super Broly. In any other season, there would be nothing negative I feel towards the matchup. I didn't advocate for Asura versus Broly because I thought it was better. I advocated for it because I didn't want another Marvel this season, especially not a returning one. That's 3 returning Marvel and DC characters. The only Marvel DC characters that are not returners or very similar to another character are Black Canary, Static Shock, Cable, and Booster Gold. And it's not that there's a lack of characters that are very different to what has shown up. Sentry, Juggernaut, Gambit, Ant-Man, Loki, Mr. Fantastic, John Constantine, Swamp Thing, Blue Beetle, Etrigan, Scarecrow, Mr. Mxyzptlk. Those are all 12 characters that took no effort to think of, that are very different to what we've gotten. And, like, the thing is that, like, Dragon Ball characters are all fairly similar in terms of what they can do, because the power system in Dragon Ball is not as complex as something like Naruto or even DC, where there's so many different powers. Dragon Ball has a fairly limited kit for a series as long as it's gone, and Hulk has a very small kit because he's really just a smashy guy. But regardless of that, I really wanted this episode for a while, at least in the back of my mind. It was one that was in the back of my mind for a while, that I sort of pushed away from with this season of Death Battle, because, you know, so it was sort of a balance of, it was sort of like how I would have felt if they revealed Galactus versus Unicron, but, where like, I wouldn't want it this season, but like, it's a matchup that fundamentally I have nothing against. I really like Galactus versus Unicron, and the fact that so many people were clamoring for me to be angry, it pretty much ruined the day. And I don't want to put the blame on anyone, like, at all, because I understand why you would want to see my reaction. I haven't really talked about how I feel about this just idea that I'm a very negative person, which I can come off as, but I'm critical because I want things to improve. I'm not critical because I want to complain about things. I spend more time talking about what's wrong with something because, in my eyes, talking about what's wrong with something can help people improve. Even if nobody on Death Battle ever watches any of my videos till the day I die, there are going to be lots of people who are going to see my videos, and if they see something that I said negative, and they look at what they've made, and they realize they've done the same thing, maybe that'll make them think about how they can change it, how they can fix it, improve it, or even it might just make them think, that's a negative, next time I do something, I will try to improve. Maybe this time I will have that flaw, but next time I'll try to do something different. And that's how I view negativity, at least criticism of projects. And that's something that I think people have lost, because I do play up the anger for comedy, because I am primarily a comedy channel above all things, but I see that the problem with that is that making it more entertaining, people misconstrue my feelings and who I am. And because of that, That's all anyone wanted, was the negativity, and you're not getting it. In this video, I do not intend to have a big rant over, oh, we hit the 50%, another returning Marvel, I've already said all that. There's nothing Hulk vs. Broly brings to change the criticisms or to open up new criticisms that haven't already been given. Anyway, on the topic of Hulk vs. Broly itself, in any other context, it's a cool match. It's thematic, with both being tragic characters who had awful childhoods powered up by their rage, but are neglected and cast out because of their destructive nature that they can't avoid and they didn't choose. At the core of their characters, they are the same. They are inherently tragic. They are good people with rage that they can't control, rage that overwhelms them to the point where they'll kill anything in sight, and they'll only realize the consequences after that rage has died down, and everything comes flooding at once. They are tragic characters. There's good potential as well. They're very destructive, and while I did say Hulk's kit is very basic, he's a powerful enough meatbag that you could get really cool shit out of the fight. And to top it all off, like I said, I love both characters. Super Broly and Hulk are probably in my top 10 favorite Dragon Ball and Marvel characters of all time. I don't want to be sad and underwhelmed. I didn't choose to be disappointed. And I am, to an extent, and I can't change that. And I don't like that I can't change that. But I can't lie to myself and all of you how I feel. Everyone asked how I feel. Prepare to be disappointed that all I feel is disappointment. That's what you get, I guess. And I don't want to sound like I'm blaming everyone, because I don't want to do that either, because there's no criticism, or there is criticism to be given with blaming people, but there's not much criticism here beyond the initial please don't do that in the future. Now, who wins? Well, there's a bit of a difference between who I think should win and who I think will win. I think that the Hulk should win. Before I talk about why, I want to thank Akil PDX. He's an alright bloke and a Marvel scaler more knowledgeable than me on stuff like this. Akil, I probably pronounced it wrong, I don't know. He helped me out quite a bit with Hulk feats and scaling. I'll link his channel in the description as well. Let's talk about this. First off, it is important to note that the Marvel Universe is at minimum 1 trillion light years in diameter, meaning it's at least 100 times larger than our actual universe and over 10 times larger than the Dragon Ball universe. As such, feats like Thor traveling from Earth to Asgard in moments can get ridiculously high, up to quintillions of times the speed of light. Even if Hulk is slower than Thor, he is still in a roughly similar position. That's still way higher than where they had Beerus's speed in Death Battle, and obviously they're going to scale Broly to Beerus's speed. He also scales to Loki, who did this, which was calculated septillions of times the speed of light, which is very fast. Hulk himself also has some pretty impressive feats without scaling. He is Hulk reflecting a universe-busting attack with a round of applause, and Hulk destroying universes is pretty much just a thing with him. He has shaken infinite dimensions and universes as well, which is extremely impressive. And of course, he scales to Thor in raw power. Thor, who could outdo the Big Bang with a clash of Mjolnirs. And in case you think Broly can match this with his whole breaking reality thing, not only could Boo do that in the Boo Saga, but also Thor did that too. Considering the Marvel Universe is larger than the Dragon Ball one, all these pretty much put Hulk significantly above Broly. But even if you want to use infinite Zamasu scaling and calc stacking with multipliers for Broly, you can counter that with the statements of Marvel being infinite in size, or at least its universes are infinite in size, and there are a lot of statements like that. And I do mean a lot. So many. So many. So you could argue that if you give Broly multi-plus scaling because Zamasu is infinite, Hulk is also multi-plus because the Marvel Universe is infinite. Hell, just him shaking the dimension of Crossroads in its entirety is absurd. Hulk is faster and Hulk is stronger, and they're using Devil Hulk, who is even stronger than all of those feats listed. He almost one-shot Thor, and while Thor didn't have Mjolnir, that's still very impressive. Thor was still fairly strong. Devil Hulk also apparently just has really, really powerful regenerative abilities. Broly is also really strong, and I don't want to take that away from him, but Death Battle stats are unlikely to really hold up against Hulk. Now, of course, we don't necessarily know how strong Broly is, because quantifiable feats happened way before he showed up. If you wanted to, you could argue that he and Hulk are equal because of Goku shaking what's claimed to be an infinite void, but then Devil Hulk massively upscales from Hulk doing even more impressive than that, including destroying an infinitely sized universe and shaking multiple infinities, which sounds absurd, and that's because it is. In fact, Devil Hulk upscales from Hulk doing that, while Broly downscales from Master Ultra Instinct Goku and Jiren. At least I do not believe Broly is more powerful than Jiren or Master Ultra Instinct Goku as of now. Even if they are equal though, Hulk does have some incredible regeneration, and both grow in strength with no known limits, so both of them have the exact same no limits fallacy. So yes, I think Hulk should win, but I do not know who will win. The easiest thing to argue for Broly beating Hulk is that Hulk scales to 100 times universal, but then Broly massively upscales from 9 times universal, and just calc stack it. The 50 times multiplier of Super Saiyan Blue would get this Goku theoretically to 450 times universal, and there you go, Broly is stronger. And while I do not agree with that personally, considering there are more statements of an infinitely sized universe in Marvel, but also because calc stacking is often quite questionable, it's something you could do. They did calc stack with All Might in All Might vs. Might Guy, however that was not enough to make All Might beat Might Guy, so it could be seen as an intentional highball to show why Might Guy really does win that easily. Might Guy is just that much more powerful that even with a highball All Might loses. And I understand that, however if Broly wins due to an intentional highball, that could be more controversial. So I can't really say who I know will win the episode or who I think will win, just who I think should win. But I do hope there is cool stuff. In fact, for the sake of being more positive, here is a wish list of things I want to see in the death battle, and I'm also going to ignore how fucking hideous Hulk's face looks. Number 1, I want the track to have portions of either Blizzard or Gogeta vs Broly in it. If the track does not have either of those, then it's an automatic failure, and Ben the GM would officially be better than both Brandon and Theirwolf, because they would have put one of those songs in because they have a Chad sticker. 2, I want this battle to go beyond planet busting. We've had plenty of planet busts, but no fights that go beyond star busting. There was that weird ink thing in Darkseid vs Thanos, but there's no confirmation what it is, and I do not agree with the interpretation of it being a universe reset. 3, I want the Super Saiyan transformation for Broly to be something special, either Super Saiyan 1 or Legendary Super Saiyan. The Super Saiyan transformation in Dragon Ball Super Broly was for a long time the most epic introduction to something I'd ever seen in an anime, until it was beaten out by Saber Ultra summoning in Heaven's Feel Part 2. However, when it comes to pure transformations, this still takes the cake to me. Number 4, I do not want them to just have Hulk Smash be a throwaway line used early in the fight, or just used arbitrarily, or used more than once. Hulk Smash needs to be used as something really badass in the fight. If they can make Naruto's Believe It sound cool, then they can make Hulk Smash sound amazing. Number 5, I want the death to go for something destructive instead of gory. They won't be able to beat out Hulk's previous death when it comes to the point of view of trying to make it brutal. They're never going to beat it out with an approach like that. However, they could match it if they try to make it something absurdly ridiculous, like a universe being obliterated or whatnot, and having good build-up. Number 6, I want there to be a moment that plays into the tragedy of the characters. Like, if Broly dies, I want there to be a sad moment where he comes to his senses beforehand, like the end of his Gogeta fight. And the same goes for if Hulk dies. I want there to be a tragedy to it because that is an inherent part of these characters. And number 7, I want them to break reality. The Broly and Gogeta reality break was a really cool scene in the film, and I'd love for them to recreate that in some way because it'd be fucking cool. And that's my wish list of things for this fight. I just wish I could be hyped for it. I know it'll be great. I know there's a good chance it'll be one of the best fights in the series. Arguably, it might even end up being the best from an objective standpoint, but I am just not hyped. There's no intrigue to me. And that is a shame, because I do love these characters, but I suppose it's only fitting that for a battle between Hulk and Broly, I don't feel anger, but I feel sadness. Something that you could call a tragedy.